Celine, come on in, Celine. Hello, Celine. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so share. Right, can you all see the web page? Lovely, thank you. Okay, so thanks very much everybody for joining us. We are going to start today's session with a very brief recap of what we did last week. Last week was our first session, and we started with a very basic introduction to Salesforce. Remember that the audience for this course, it assumes that you don't have any experience with Salesforce and have never seen it, never touched it, or have very, very little experience with Salesforce. So if I seem a little bit, if I go a bit slow for you, please bear that in mind. And so if you want to follow along, every single session that we do is recorded and posted to my YouTube page, and then I put the links onto this site so that you only have one place to go for everything. And today is the 30th of March, so I have been good and been updating this. I'm probably log into this every single day, I would say, and do a few things on it. 65 of you here today, absolutely amazing. Thank you to everybody for turning up. It means the world to me. If you want to follow along, you can just go to this page and you will see for each section, you will see for week, there is a week 1 section with the homework here, and you will see that the recordings are there to help you get along with the homework. So last week we tried to do a couple of things. We tried to sign up with Top Trailblazers, which is our gamified platform, and helps us to track who's been completing badges. So I'm going to have a little look and see if anybody managed to do that just yet. If you didn't, please don't worry too much. I have actually put a link on the page here to Johan, who's the developer. He has actually put a video on here that explains how you can set up your bookmark on your browser to push your badges to Top Trailblazers. So if I could ask you, please, if you're still struggling to use that link. I have a group in here called Gemma's Coronavirus course, not curse. And if you log into here, you'll see that there are a few of us who have managed to sync our badges into the group. Shubham, congratulations, well done, you've managed to do that. I can see your 137 badges here and your 100,000 points. And Pablo as well, who's joined as well. You can see once it gets up and running, this is the sort of information that you get. If you still, so the video does not have links in it. The video itself just shows you silently, because Johan's a little bit shy. If you just watch this video on YouTube, just watch him quite slowly and pause it if you can. Pause it when you need to, but you see what he does here. He goes to his admin page and he drags his link up to push badges, and then it takes him to his Trailhead, and he logs in, and off he goes. Logs into Trailhead. Selects which he's got it. His happens to be linked to his Salesforce org, so don't worry too much. He's also put in a second factor here, so he has to get his phone out and click a button to say that it's okay to log in, which he's done there. And then once he's logged in, eventually, come on, Johan, come on. You can see that he goes up to he goes to visit his profile, and then he pushes his badges. So if you go into your admin, when you log into Top Trailblazers, you will see there's a link. Well, there should be. Add Trailblazer. Anyway, okay, so we'll give that another go another time. And if you're still struggling, I'll get Johan to pop into the Q&A sheet to help out. So last week we tried to sync our badges. We also had a little look around Salesforce, and we completed a Trailhead badge we completed a Trailhead badge for that covers the platform basics. And for today's course, what we're going to do is a couple more Trailhead badges. So you will need to follow along on Trailhead. So if you haven't got a Trailhead login yet, I suggest that you go to trailhead.salesforce.com, which I'm going to do now, and just click sign up. And then you should be able to sign up using one of your social media accounts, or you can sign up using a Salesforce account, or you can sign up with your own email address. It's up to you. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to plod on under the assumption that you will have a Trailhead account. And we're going to get going with the next set of content. So last week we looked at objects. We learned a few words last week. We learned that objects are effectively tables that exist in Salesforce, and we talked about accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads, etc. And then we talked about what fields are and what records are. And then we also talked about the concept of an app in Salesforce. And we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail today. We're going to actually take a look at Salesforce from the perspective of a user and look at what Salesforce is used for and the main users' features and benefits. And actually, the objectives for this week are to understand why people use Salesforce and why they want to use it and how it makes their jobs easier. So we're going to look at, so if you could log into Salesforce and do this with me, log into Trailhead and do this with me. Last week, we also spun up Trailhead Playgrounds, which enables us to get hands-on with Salesforce. Today, we're going to follow a badge we're going to get a badge that's called Salesforce User Tour. So I've just put that in the search, and that will come up with the Trailhead badge. Okay, and as ever, thank you everybody for supporting each other in the chat. Really appreciate it. So today is going to be an interesting, fun module. I have already completed it, but don't worry, I'm going to do it all over again with you. So if you have any problems, just shout in the chat. So today, after you've finished this unit, you will be able to find and use the home page in Salesforce. You will be able to update your performance chart. You'll be able to use news. I am very much of the view that because there are amazing resources out there on Trailhead already, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes it's a lot easier to understand Trailhead if someone guides you through it. So introducing the home page. Let me open up my Trailhead Playground as well, just to contextualize some of this for you. On the home page, this is the first place where you're going to land when you log into Salesforce. And typically, the typical users of Salesforce will be people who work in sales, people who work in customer service, typically. And if you've got really clever admins and really clever people at Salesforce, clever people in your IT department or business ops department, they may have actually built other stuff on Salesforce for you as well. So there are lots of reasons that a person might log into Salesforce. Let me look at my resourceful wolf. That's my playground from last week. And you'll notice that when I log into my Salesforce org, the first page that I come to is a home page. When it eventually loads, yeah, there we go. Now, when you first log into Salesforce, you'll see there's always an animated icon that pops up, and that is a real clue to you, because that will tell you exactly which release of Salesforce you are currently working in. And that's really important because Salesforce actually creates okay, thank you. I'll share my screen. Oh, it says I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Yeah. So Rajiv, just to be really clear, we do not teach in Classic. We teach in Lightning only. So if you can see Salesforce, then you're all good. Now, what was I saying? So with the releases, Salesforce creates 3 upgrades a year, right? So every single customer of Salesforce will receive that release. And what they're really good at doing is actually pushing those releases into small test environments, which we call sandboxes. And the way that you can tell whether you're if you spend a lot of time working on changing Salesforce and configuring it, you might be working in a sandbox more regularly than you might work in production. Production is a live org that people are using. And so it's important that when you log in, you know, first of all, whether you're in production or not. I can tell I'm in production because I've got nothing showing up here. It's just a clear white bar. If I was in the sandbox, I would have a grey bar that says the name of the sandbox. But also, it helps you to understand when you're planning any releases of functionality into Salesforce, it helps you to understand if there are any risks associated with it. For example, some people like to write code in sandboxes and push them into a production environment. And because the sandbox is on a later version than what the production environment is, it can cause a few issues there, and you have to wait and change your plans accordingly. But that's just an aside thing. So on your homepage, this is what everybody gets out of the box before anybody's made any changes to it. So you have a quarterly performance chart, which looks at your opportunities. You will have today's events, and you can go to your calendar from there. A lot of people like to sync their Microsoft or Gmail calendars with Salesforce, which is a really handy way to keep visibility into who you're meeting and make sure it's related to a specific opportunity. A lot of sales organizations actually really push that for their people, for their reps, so that they can have visibility into sales activities, which is one of the primary reasons that people have Salesforce. Tasks, this is where you as a user can actually control your own workload and manage your own workload using Salesforce. So if you've got a task to call somebody, you can set yourself a task to call someone, and it will come on the day that it's due. It will come up in the today's tasks box. If there are any opportunities that you're working on that are important, you can actually use these filters here to see, here are all the opportunities, and you'll see a list of all the opportunities available. If you want to see all the opportunities that are closing next month, if there are any that meet that criteria, then they show up. It just happens that there aren't. If there are any closing this month, you can filter for that. And if you want to see just your opportunities, you can do that too. And it's worth just noting in terms of navigation in Salesforce, if you see writing in blue, that means it's clickable. And also it means you can hover over it, and some information will some very brief overview information will pop up there for you. Now, as an administrator, you can change what shows up on that little card there. And you can also change what fields you see in these lists, views, and everything. So it's a really powerful platform for that. So home is where you land when you log into Salesforce. When you first log in, you will see whatever your admin has assigned to your profile. So some people might see a lead assistant, some people might see news, other people might see upcoming events, and so on, because it's all very contextualized. You will only see information on this page if it relates to your activities. Now let's talk about how you can use some of these features. So if you've just logged into Salesforce and landed on home, you'll see your performance chart. And up in the corner, you can see the notifications. Last week, we covered this when we went through all the different tabs, and we saw all the notifications coming up. Now, it just happens at the moment I don't have any. In this example, on Trailhead, you can see that there are notifications there. Now, these are things that your admin can configure. You can automatically set up notifications to come out to someone if they've closed a deal, or if they have closed, or if they've got a new case assigned to them if they're in customer service. and then your top, and then you have your top deals. Now, something you can do here is you can actually change your own goal here, right, in Salesforce. So if you are a salesperson and you want to, your goal is to close, you know, £1 million in this quarter, you can put your target in there. And then it will show you, you see there, you've got a line there. My goal was £100,000. There is now a green line there. So any opportunities that I close with, and you'll see them in relation to that green line. Not a lot of people know that you can do that. Then you have the assistant. So in this example, this is a smart list of things to do. So if you have, let's say you have leads coming in through your website, people come and visit your website and fill out a form and say, I want to know more about what you do, and it's been assigned to you, then you can actually pick that up and start calling them or working on them. And then also it helps with some behavioral things as well. If you have an opportunity that has overdue tasks, you've obviously not kept on top of your admin, or something's moved and you need to update it. So the system actually prompts you to do that and to keep on top of your pipeline, so that your managers and the rest of your team can get the benefit of seeing how things are going. Okay. Another thing that we have is news, which is a useful widget. It is US-centered news at this time, which is why I haven't seen it used very much here. But if you want to keep on top of your companies, of an accounts, of some key businesses that you are interested in, then your admin can put the news box on there. So let's have a look at the quiz, which I can't see right now. So I'm going to go incognito. And let's do the quiz. So I hope you've all got your trailhead ready. And you're ready to see some confetti. Who's ready for confetti? Okay, let's do this. Oh, welcome home. Oh, have I missed one? No, I haven't. Okay. Right then, so question one, the best way to navigate to home is A, search for home using your favorite search engine. B, click the back button until you get to home. C, click on the home icon in the navigation bar. Or D, click your heels together 3 times and think about home. Red shoes are required. See, it's totally D. Okay, question number 2. The performance chart features A, closed and open opportunities for the quarter with a field to update your goal, or for sales managers, your team's goal. B, closed opportunities for the year with a field to update open opportunity amounts. C, closed and open opportunities for the month with a field to update the close date. Or D, closed opportunities only. Okay, lock your answers in, ladies and gents. Okay, number 3, using news, you can hear about your accounts that might influence your selling strategy, including A, a change in executive leadership prompting you to make a new connection. B, financial news, including rounds of funding, suggesting now is the time to upsell. C, mergers and acquisitions, meaning you may need to engage with new leadership. Or D, company reorganization, suggesting you might need to build new relationships. Or E, all of the above. Okie dokie. When you're ready, just hit the submit button, check challenge button. I'm not seeing any happy confetti lovers yet. Woo! Well done, Kat. Okay, well done. Any questions before we move on? Okay, I'll take that as a no. I'll take it. You're all drowning in confetti right now. Okay, the next concept I want to bring your attention to is very much a sales concept. This is about working with leads and opportunities. So after we've finished this, we'll be able to use the lead workspace and action your leads, use the opportunity workspace, and then look at a glance insights with accounts and contacts. Now, this is always a big topic of conversation when I'm in sales meetings around what's the difference between a lead and an account and an opportunity. So Salesforce actually tries to lead sales teams down the route of thinking carefully about how much does a potential sales deal mean to you as a business. Hi Gary, you just go to Trailhead and search for Salesforce User Tour at the top, and then it's the second drop down, which is work with leads and opportunities. So if salespeople spend a lot of time talking to each other, and one of the things that's really important for sales managers to understand if they're going to help their teams to progress and to become better salespeople, and if they need to refine their strategy, because ultimately the job of a sales team is to win deals so that the company makes money, right? And the company needs to make money to pay its people. And its shareholders. And so selling is a really important job. And if you don't have visibility into how well your sales strategy is working, then it's really hard to make changes to it and to continuously improve and to help your salespeople to progress in their careers. So Salesforce comes with tools that help people to monitor activity and create, and so that they can react and make decisions around the data that comes in as a result of that monitoring. So obviously salespeople need to be talking to people, not necessarily doing a lot of admin. So what Salesforce has built is a number of features, productivity features, that help salespeople really get things done more quickly so that they can carry on with selling. It's one of the key benefits of having Salesforce. So we talked about objects in Salesforce from a technical perspective. Just now we're going to look at leads. Leads are people who have expressed interest in your project, but you haven't yet qualified them to buy. And what that means is it could be somebody that you shook hands with at, well, hopefully not at the moment, but somebody that you met at a conference, and you swapped a business card and said, I'll call you back later, I'm interested in your product. Or it could be somebody whose name appears on a list of potential of people that you would like to target for your business. It could be somebody who has been to your website and filled out the form to say that they're interested in your products and services. Or it could even be somebody who came to a webinar as well. So leads come in from all kinds of places, and tracking those leads is really, really important, because that's the top of your sales funnel. If you've got no leads coming in, it's harder to win business, right? So, and one of the concepts that comes in Salesforce is what happens when you get that lead to the point where you think you could probably start, they're interested in buying from you, and we call that lead qualification. If you're not talking, could I ask you to put yourself on mute, please? Thank you very much. So the leads workspace is a screen that enables you to manage the tools, the actions that you need to complete in order to convert your leads into opportunities, and therefore into customers, right? So In the middle of that is this concept of what's called sales path. And sales path is something that you can configure. You can change these stages according to what your business's process is. You can actually also view really key information about this particular lead, so their name, their email address, what industry, perhaps where you found out about them. But also, as an administrator, if you're configuring this for your sales team, you can actually include information to the right-hand side, which is called guidance for success. And we tell out, whenever I'm working on a project where we're implementing guidance for success for a customer, we will actually encourage them to think about what are the key indicators, that what are the key tasks that your salespeople have to kick off before they can go to the next stage of looking after that lead and qualifying that lead. Qualifying a lead means getting them to the point where, yes, you think they might buy. Okay. So as you can see here, somebody has put in some guidance for success for John Steele, who is a lead. He works at a company, and he has expressed an interest in the product. And we're telling him here, we're telling the sales rep here that for John, you need to gather all the contact information that you can, because if you have more information, then you're in a better position to start communicating with John and improve your chances of success. So it gives them some instructions. It says, you know, get your lead's current email address, start the qualification process, do some learning about the industry, the budget, number of employees, and rehearse your call scripts. This is typically, you would see that kind of activity happening with business development representatives. There's also, if you want to, let's say you give John a call and he doesn't answer and you leave a voicemail, then you can use the log a call function here to just show. Hello, please don't mute me. You've got the Collaborate tab, which allows you to actually have internal conversations about that lead. So you can see Chris Closer, he is the lead owner. So this is his lead and his responsibility. And actually, you can see here that Chris and Sam sells a lot. They are having a conversation about somebody else who knows this person, who knows John Steele, and they can have a conversation about it. So you see, he says, "Did you work with Catherine back in Boston? Can we grab coffee, talk over strategies for this lead?" So those of you who use social media, this kind of layout should be familiar to you. If you don't see all the fields about John that you want to see, yeah, it's John. Oh dear, it's now Catherine. If you don't see all the details that you want to see, then you can click the details tab and you can see a bit more information. And remember, we talked about fields and we created a brand new field last week. This is where the details tab is where you see all the data that is held in those fields. You can also change the lead owner. So let's say Chris comes down with coronavirus and has to go to hospital. You can change the lead owner to be one of his colleagues instead, so that colleague can then phone Catherine and start working on that lead a bit more while Chris is recovering. So in addition to driving those actions, you can see important details highlighted at the top of the page. So I'm going to open up one of my existing leads in my playground just to put it into some context. Now you'll notice it defaults to recently viewed, right? I've not viewed any leads yet, so I'm not going to see anything. Yeah, I know, poor John. We hope he's all right. I hope he's self-isolating. And then we go to, but what we can do is we can change. We can actually change to, you notice it says list views here. These are all effectively queries that you can run without any kind of technical considerations. You can just click to all open leads, and it will show you all the leads in the system that are currently still being worked. and it's a list that's filtered based upon the status. So you see the status here says working, contacted. That means it's effectively open. So let's look at Kathy Snyder. And then we come to the workspace, which is what the Trailhead badge was showing us. So this is an unconfigured path versus a properly configured path where you have guidance for success and fields and so on. And as you can see, here are my details and all the fields that that I can fill in for this lead. The chatter, which is the conversation and collaboration between me and another user, and as you can see, there's nothing here at the moment, but you can sort this and you can search it. And then you have the news here. And actually, you can also link your Twitter account to this. You can sign in with the Twitter, and you can try and find her. La 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 la. Authorize the app. And you can actually try and find Kathy Snyder on Twitter, and you can link her Twitter account to this so that you can actually follow her and engage with her on Twitter if that's something you want to do. So, and then we have the activity section here. So we're able to, let's say you have tasks. So remember I talked to you about how you could phone, perhaps someone's phoned Catherine or Kathy and hasn't been able to get hold of her, and they can set themselves a follow-up task. So you can see here, you get this full activity timeline here where you can say that you want to call Catherine back to see if she spoke with the rest of the team and if she's ready to move to the next step. When it's completed, you just tick the box and it's done. So let's take care of this and see if we can get this lead converted. After reviewing our lead in detail, we're going to call her. So we're going to call Kathy and we're going to find out if she's in fact qualified to buy. So when we say qualified to buy, is it that she's actually wants to buy? Okay. And it can mean qualification can mean different things to different people and different customers. So it's always a really big conversation that we have with customers when we talk about conversion, because not everybody understands the concept of a converted lead. Some people jump straight into accounts. But there is a real benefit to tracking that conversion, because you want to know as a salesperson, out of all the leads that came into the system, that came into my name, what percentage of those leads did I then went on to become viable sales opportunities. So it's a really, really important metric for a salesperson and their managers. Out of curiosity, I want to see if this works. Okay, so you can see all the Kathy Snyders that exist on Twitter, and if you want to, you can link that Twitter profile to the lead. And actually, this is interesting because it tells me how many people I've got in common with her. So obviously, Barack Obama is someone that I don't know, but there are a few there. And then if you think you've got the wrong Kathy, you can remove the association. But if you want to use that tool, you have to obviously have a Twitter account of your own. So I want to talk about conversion. So at this stage, if we update our task, we tick it and we say we've completed it, and then Kathy says, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm interested in buying from you. So we go to the lead and we click convert, and we get this beautiful page that pops up, and it tells us if we convert this lead, what's going to happen in the system. We're going to create a new account called TNR Corp, or if we think, if we know that there's an existing account, then we can search for it. In truth, you should search for it anyway, because the last thing you want to create is duplicates. So I'm going to search for TNR under the accounts object. And as I can see, there are no results. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that there are no accounts called TNR. It actually means, it could mean that there could well be an account called TNR, but I just don't have access to view it. So that's something you must always take into account. Now, because I'm a system administrator, I know for a fact that there is no TNR core account in the system. I'm then what Salesforce is going to propose is that a new contact is created, and that contact will be related to TNR Core. If I'm not sure that this is the right contact, or if I want to just check, because sometimes you might have more, there might also be a different Kathy in this. Sorry, that Kathy may appear somewhere else in the system, then you can check for that as well. Now, if I was to, as you can see, Ashley James is coming up there. If I was to just hit Ashley James, this lead would just convert into United Oil and Gas and not create, and the contact would, sorry, it would create an account and it would create an opportunity, but it would create a new contact against the Ashley James account. And it would show that Ashley James was involved in this opportunity. Then you have the opportunity to create an opportunity. So an opportunity is basically a sales deal. It's the chance to sell something to Kathy. And at this point, you have the option to create a name. And we always say to people, please be sensible about what you name your opportunity. Make sure that when you're viewing this opportunity in a list or on a report or in a dashboard, you are actually able to tell what you're selling that person and what type of opportunity it is. And indeed, many customers actually automate the opportunity name. They'll create a special rule that will automatically change the opportunity name based on a set structure. So they might create an auto number field, which will create a sequential ID number, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can set that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the opportunity name if you want to. And it's really important what you set on the opportunity name, because whatever you put there is what your search at the top, where it says search Salesforce, that search Salesforce is going to rely on what you put in that opportunity name. So it's really important to make sure that you are comfortable with what you put in there. Now, it might be that because we don't know what Kathy wants to buy yet, we can't put an opportunity name in there that makes sense yet. And that's okay, as long as you update it later. And then finally, you can change the owner. So and this is particularly pertinent in a telemarketing situation. When I had my first job working as a Salesforce admin, we had a whole team of people whose job it was to call out to different leads, and they had to get an appointment with that person for one of their new business hunters. So when they converted a lead, they used to change the owner. They used to change the owner to be the new business hunter, and then they would set them a task to call them. And they would put the appointment in their calendar. And for this company, the definition of an opportunity was the fact that there was a meeting booked. So let's see what happens when we convert. It's going to think about it, and then it's going to come up with a confirmation to say that your lead has been converted. And you'll see, obviously, wherever you've got a blue writing, it means you can click on it. So we have an account called TNR Core. We have a contact called Kathy Snyder, and we have an opportunity that's related to TNR Core. Something else that you can't see immediately from here is that actually when you look at the opportunity itself, you will also see that Kathy Snyder has been added to the opportunity as an opportunity contact. And that's really important. That's another added benefit and a time saver for salespeople, so that they can actually reflect who are the decision makers that they are speaking to at the customer site. So it will show up in contact roles. Do you see there's Kathy Snyder? She's marked as a primary contact. And if I want to, I can then actually edit that and say what kind of role she occupies. I can say that she is the primary contact, and she is the decision maker. And that really helps sales reps, because it helps you to track what conversations have happened and whether they're actually engaging with people at the right level. So what happens to the lead? Well, you can't work on it anymore. The lead is then locked at that point because it is a converted lead. And that's really important, because if you then start reporting on your lead conversion rate, the fact that you converted that lead will show that out of all the leads that were assigned to you, you have now converted one of them. So it's an important metric. And for salespeople who are often heavily incentivized, sometimes this metric can feed directly into a commission plan or a bonus. So it's really important. So now we have a contact with an associated account and opportunity, all created automatically. Let's check out the account and the contact. So your account and contact are, let's go to one that will have some data on it. Actually, no, let's not. Let's go to TNR. So you'll notice that the layout's fairly similar, right, to what we had on leads. We had a brief header over the top. We have the activity timeline. And if we want to, we can create a new task. So I'm going to do that now. Call Kathy. We can set a due date. Lots of salespeople, service people, users in general will use activities. And then I'm going to just find Kathy and notice how I just put KA and it came up with her straight away. Or if I'm meeting somebody else who works at TNR Core, I can actually add them there directly as well. Now it's me who's got to call her, so I'm going to leave it assigned to me, and it's not started. This status drop down here is really has a big effect on the activity timeline, because if a task hasn't been started, it will show as a task that needs to be completed. If it is completed, it will show in a different way. So let's save that. Now have a look at your activity timeline. Now it says you have an upcoming task with Kathy, and you can expand it. And you can add in some descriptions, and you can even go to look at the contact record and add some, and the opportunities that she's working on. If I finish that task early, I just tick it. And now it just comes up and it just says it's been crossed out. So you can use it as a to-do list. Okay, I just changed it back, and then it wanted me to change it. So you notice that the big impact that status has on the activity timeline. Statuses are really important in Salesforce because we have to know what's happening at a specific time. So the first thing you're going to see on the account is items that are related to this record, right? So remember I talked about related lists last week. The section here that says contacts is an example of a related list, and opportunities is a related list too. And what that means is here is an opportunity that is linked to this account, and I can get to it. As you can see, if you hover over one of these, a pop-up will appear and it will show you that person's involvement at a glance. And a lot of salespeople find that really useful because they don't like clicking through screens. Now let's take a look at an opportunity. So we have the opportunity that we created earlier, and I can hover over it and I can click the name. And notice now that this tab up here is highlighted now. That's because it's a reminder to me that I'm looking at an opportunity. And another reminder is this icon here. This icon of the crown with an orange background tells me that I'm working with opportunities. And you'll notice that on accounts, you get a different symbol. You get a folder. Now, obviously, this screen is configured a little bit differently. You've got related items on the right, you've got activities in the middle, and you've got details on a different tab. And you can see here, there's different fields as well. So you can track whether it's new or existing business. You can track where it is in the sales process, which is the path that we talked about earlier. And then you can actually add items to your opportunity straight away. So you could go and add some products to it if you want to build up the price using a catalog of products. So since we were talking about path, here are some examples that help you with coaching. We talked a lot. We also talked about how path can be used to help people to understand what's happening at a specific part of the sales process. We have the guidance for success here that is different for opportunities. And then again, we have our activity, collaboration, and chatter and details as well. So let's go, and so I think I've actually already done that piece, which is the setting of the tasks. Let's create a meeting, and then I want to show you what's going to happen to my home page. Your activity, you can relate activities to many different objects in Salesforce. You can relate them to an account, which you would do that in situations where you're talking to a customer about the overall plan for their business and their account and their relationship with you. When you actually put activities against an opportunity, then that tells a different story. That tells the story of what activities you did in order to close that specific deal. And when you look at tasks associated with a contact, then that tells you the conversations across many different things that you've had with them. Because when you log a task or an event, you have the ability to relate it to a couple of different objects. So I'm going to put a meeting in with Kathy for tomorrow at 9 p.m. She's going to love me for that. And you can see under related to, it's actually related to the opportunity. And I can tell that because of the crown and the name of the opportunity. And that's why I said it. Remember I said about the name being important? That's why you've got to do it. That's why you've got to make sure that your name makes sense, so you know what you're relating it to as well. Now, you also have a second field, which is called name. If I click that drop down, you can link this to a lead or a contact. Now, it's really important to note, if I select lead, I can actually no longer, oh, that's changed. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. Back in the day, if you selected lead, you couldn't then link it to an opportunity. But it looks like you can now. So I'm going to put that opportunity back in. Whoops. And notice how you can do it from anywhere. I could create a brand new opportunity from this page as well if I wanted to. You've got a lot of flexibility. So I'm going to meet Kathy, definitely via Zoom, and save it. And you'll see that you can see the upcoming meeting. And what you can then do as well, if your administrator has enabled it, is you can sync that back to your calendar so that it pops up on your phone. And you can sync it back to your Outlook if you want to, or your Gmail, so that you've got that consistency across all of the tools that you use. Another thing to note is you can also do this using the Salesforce mobile app on your phone. And at some point, I will actually need to show you my screen for that, to show you what that looks like. But there's a free Salesforce app that you can get. And you can then log any call that you want. Using your app. So you have at the top here, you have these different options, and then you can just hit new task, and you go through the exact same process as you would on here on the desktop. So I want to show you something else that's really interesting about this. Obviously, I've got a meeting with her, and I now maybe want to go and look at the account. Let's say I'm a sales manager and I want to know what my salespeople are doing with their top customers. I remember I created that meeting against the opportunity here. Well, because the opportunity links to the account, if I go back to the account and look at the activity timeline, I can see at an overall level what's happening with that account. And that's really valuable, and that's one of the other things that people love about this. One more thing I want to show you, which I really, really love, is when you're working with opportunities, you can actually use what's called the Kanban View. And it's called Kanban because it relates back to a software development concept whereby people create cards for pieces of work that they're going to do. And then they create a big board and they create columns on there that says, right, this is to do, this is in progress, this is being checked, and this is done. And the idea is that you move your cards in between different stages. So they've just replicated that particular concept in Salesforce to help you manage your opportunities in a drag and drop way. So let's take a look at what that looks like. If I go to opportunities, I could actually use my list views to find all the opportunities that belong to me. Ownership is really important in Salesforce because ownership can dictate not only what you're responsible for, from a reporting perspective and an accountability perspective, but it can also determine what you're allowed to see in Salesforce as well. So I'm going to go to my opportunities. And now this will go away and query the database, and it will throw me back a list of opportunities that belong to me. And I'm going to change the way that I view these opportunities in just a moment when it's finished loading. So here are all my opportunities, and they're all at various different stages, as you can see. And this is just a list. I want to look at this in slightly different ways. So I'm going to go to these icons. Every list view has these icons across the top. So you have a filters is where you can change what records it brings back. If you want to see a little graph, then and you like charts, you can bring that in. So my pipeline's massive right now, 5.8 million. Get in. I can refresh the view if I think people have been assigning opportunities to me and I haven't known about it. Then it will go away and requery the database and bring all those back. And I'm going to do the purpose of this task, which is the Kanban view. And when I look at this Kanban view, oh, look, here are all my opportunities. And not only that, it will tell me which opportunities are in each stage, but it will also tell me the value, the overall value of the opportunities that are sitting within each stage. So when my boss comes up and says, Gemma, what you've been doing, I can just go, boom, I just closed 3.6 million. Thanks for the commission. And then I can also go, okay, yeah, University of Arizona, I quoted them 100K. They've come back and said they're happy with it, so we're going into contract. So I can just drag and drop that into the next stage. And notice how my amounts changed. That's now gone to £495,000. And I can move other stuff around as well. So it's just a really quick, easy, productive way for a salesperson to get on top of their data. As an administrator, you can actually make it so that either they can't do this, or you can have it pop up and say, well, before you do this, there's something else you need to do first. So please click into the opportunity and update this piece of information. So let's have a look at how the Kanban view helps your deals with opportunity alerts. So you only get these for opportunities, and they help you draw attention to deals that you need to deal with, basically. So like opportunities that don't have an opportunity, don't have any events on them. So actually, you know, as a human being, if you saw these little warning triangles, certainly for me, if I see these, I can't deal with having unread emails in my inbox. I have to read them all. I just can't deal with the notifications. So that would really bug me if this was my pipeline. So, and certainly as a sales manager, if you're looking at somebody's pipeline and it's full of yellow warning triangles, I would be like, what are you actually doing? So here I can set myself tasks and say, okay, perception analysis, I can set myself a call task. Call to find out what they think of us. And then that little warning triangle should, in theory, go away. That was Grand Hotels. So it's created the task, and now it's just requerying, and it will show the opportunities again. And fingers crossed, overdue tasks, take action to keep this deal moving. You see? So it gives me all these little insights and things and instructions of things that I need to do without me having to configure those myself. So let's go and have a go at this this next quiz, which is work with leads and opportunities. Are you all ready? All got your Trailhead ready? All raring to go? Question 1. Path helps you action your leads and move them towards conversion by providing A, a handy way to contact your VP of sales for help. Great, I'm sure they'll love you for that. B, contextual help at every step of a business process. Great. C, a way to transfer your lead to someone else who can convert it, way to make friends and influence people. And D, a list of all the fields on the lead, because you haven't done enough scrolling. Okay, lock your answers in. Question 2, the Kanban view powers up your activities with the following functionality. A, drag and drop records as you work. B, opportunity alerts. C, choose how to group and summarize your records. D, slice and dice your data with filters on the fly. E, all of the above. Okay, looking good. Question 3. Ari. Question 3. Contacts and accounts show you at a glance insights, including A, related lists, list views, and performance chart. B, display all fields, next steps, reminders, and notifications. C, activity timeline, Kanban view, and quick reference guides. D, activity timeline, Twitter integration, and hover capabilities. Why does it keep closing the chat? Okay, hit the button. Woo! Well done, Kat. Congratulations. Okay, should we have a look at the next one then? And then we've nearly completed this badge. Only took us an hour because I can't shut up. Okay, did everybody get their confetti? Get their answers right? Well done to those of you who got 100 points. Yes, well done. Okay, so the next one is check out reports, dashboards, feeds, and more. We talked about list views, so I'm going to skip over that bit because we have talked about it, but we're also going to talk about reports and dashboards. Now, if any of you have ever worked in an office with an IT system and or with spreadsheets, you might know that it can sometimes be really tough to get hold of really good analytics. When I say analytics, I mean like reports and insights into say how many customers you've got, how many opportunities you're working on at the moment. Excuse me. Well, Salesforce is very different because in Salesforce, I mean, typically outside of Salesforce, what you might have to do is go out and get a load of spreadsheets, pull them all together, copy and paste them, deduplicate them, maybe do some nasty VLOOKUPs, yeah, write SQL queries, all of those things, just to get it into a decent state that you can work with, right? So you can export it into Excel and maybe make a pretty graph and send it off to a manager. Well, Salesforce is different. Salesforce runs on the live data that is in the system right now. And what reports do, and list views do as well, is actually they just create a framework. And I'll show you what that means. If I look at this list view, which I put into a Kanban view, this is just, all this is doing is saying, go and get me all opportunities that belong to me, where my name is in the owner field, right? Let's say I wanted to add in a couple of other criteria and say, right, I'm only interested in opportunities that are closing this month. I can do that, and I can do that really dynamically by adding a filter to my list view. If I save this, it's going to refresh, and I should have considerably fewer opportunities. As you can see, I only have one. But if I get rid of that filter, everything will come straight back. I'll tell you what's very cool when you do this is when somebody's doing a massive data load and you're there just refreshing the list view and you just see things just appearing. It's like, oh my God, that's cool. I can't help it. I'm a massive nerd. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that's basically what a list view is. It's a framework and an infinitely scrollable list of records that meet the criteria of your filters. In the background, it is running a query, but you don't have to worry about that. All you want is a list. So earlier you saw me add a chart to the list view. There's other stuff you can do with this. You can make it really clever as well. You can say, find me all opportunities where the stage is either value proposition or the stage is perception analysis. And notice I'm doing this with 2 filters. This is because I need to put some logic in. So at the moment, this is going to pull me back all the opportunities that are value proposition and perception analysis. So it should shout at me and shouldn't give me anything. Because an opportunity can only have one stage. It can't have 2. It can't be value proposition and perception analysis. So if I take one of those away and refresh it, what's going to happen? I'm going to see 2 opportunities where the stage is value proposition. So if I want to get smart with this and say I want value proposition or perception analysis, I need to put in a second filter, which is stage equals perception analysis. And then you've got this little link here that says add filter logic. Notice it says 1 and 2. And that's why it was coming back with nothing, because you can't have both. You can't. Yeah. So Baba, just to be clear, an opportunity cannot be at stage value proposition and also stage perception analysis. Remember, it came back with no results because an opportunity can only have one stage. So if I want opportunities that are in both stages, I have to use logic that says I want it to be either, I want to throw back opportunities that are either in value proposition stage or in perception analysis stage, and that should bring me back both. So I change that in the filter logic. Now you can get really cute with this and start adding brackets and God knows what. I've seen some really complicated filter logic before where I've looked at it and just gone, wow, why did they do that? But for this instance, I'm going to keep it straightforward. I don't want to scare everyone too much. So you see what that OR logic is doing? It's saying throw me back opportunities where the stage is either value proposition or the stage is perception analysis. And so it's pulled back all 4 of these. You can also filter, but remember, this is also just showing me my opportunities. And this is a special filter you get with opportunities. In fact, with actually with anything that has a lookup relationship to any other object. If you have a team sitting beneath you in your role hierarchy, which is something we'll talk about a bit later, then you can actually filter to say, show me everything that's in my team. Or if you don't care who the owner is, you can just say, show me all opportunities where the stage is either one of these 2. So let's have a look. Now I should own all of these because I'm the only user. So just to be nice and sensible, I'm going to put that back. So reports and dashboards work in a very similar way. And in Trailhead, it will show you exactly what kind of logic you can have. So you could say, show me all opportunities that are either either value proposition or perception analysis, but are not closing this month. So you could say close date equals this month, and then put not 3 into your logic. Now, once I started doing that, I have to start using brackets. I have to say it's 1 or 2, but not 3. So if I save that logic, it's now going to yell at me because I'm dumb. But you get the idea. So if you want to see, so yeah, that all of this Trailhead just speaks to that, to everything I've just explained. Now, if I want to, again, I can add my graph with my pipeline by stage, and it says, you know, I've got 330K at value proposition and 135K at perception analysis. Now, reports do a very similar thing, but they allow you to slice and dice by this point. So we're going to go and create we're going to go and look at some of the reports that you get out of the box. And these are also, they happen live. The filter logic fields are not case sensitive as far as I know. So you'll get, when you just get to reports by clicking on the reports tab, funnily enough. And if you've viewed any recently, you can view them there. Remember what I said about favoriting certain items? You can actually favorite some of your own reports. And if your administrator's enabled it, you can actually use chatter on a report as well. There are a number of reports that you get provided by Salesforce out of the box, which I don't have in here. But just to replicate what I did with that list view, we were looking at my opportunities. And if I click new report, it takes me straight into the report builder. And there are two different types of reports that you can create. You can create public reports, which can be used by everybody. Remember, reports and list views are basically a framework. But reports organize your information into rows and columns. List views organize your information into rows and columns or a Kanban view. So if we're looking at opportunities, you effectively have to choose which object you're going to pull together. So those of you who are familiar with SQL, this is where you create your joins. So all I'm going to do here is just create an opportunity report. But there are also other report types that you can choose where different tables have been joined together in the background. So you go to hit continue. And then you come into this really sweet little report builder. When I first started using Salesforce, it was a wizard. You had to do something on one page, then click next, then something on another page, then click next. And when they released this, I was just going, oh my God, that's so much better. On the left, you get all your fields that you can select for your report. And then you have a tab here for filters, which is just like what you have on the list view. And you get a few defaults here. So remember, in the list view, we were looking at my opportunities. You can change it to say, show me my opportunities if you want to. You can also filter by role. So you could create a report that says, show me all opportunities that are CFO and below, or the North America team and below, or the SVP customer service. Sorry, we were looking at sales and marketing. So if we look at different regions, I might just want to look at North American sales and below. And it helps me to just create very dynamic reports. So I'm not having to hard code people's names into filters. As an owner, I can just say, right, show me all the opportunities owned by VP North American sales and below. Okay, so here I'm just going to say, show me my opportunities. And you can see there's a default date range there. So your date range for all reports is shown in this section, again, so that you don't have to put filters in that say close date starts with or is between these two dates. You just hit what date range you want. You can even choose which date to use. You could do it, show me opportunities created this month, show me opportunities closing this month, show me opportunities where they were modified this month. And if you create custom objects for like timesheets, for example, you could say, show me timesheets by the date of the timesheet, because that might not always be the same as the created date, because timesheets are often created late. So just an example. So I'm going to choose the close date, and then I can choose the range. I can say, show me all opportunities of all time, or I can go through fiscal year. That's a setting that your administrator can put in. They can actually put in the dates of your fiscal year. And you can choose the current, the previous 2 years, two years ago, which is great. We've wanted that for years. We've got next year. And then you can kind of go into fiscal quarters, calendar years, calendar quarters, calendar weeks, and even days. You can go to yesterday, today, tomorrow, last 7 days. You know, you can go nuts with that. So I'm just going to look at all time because I want to replicate what I put on my list view. And I'm going to say I only want open opportunities because I happen to know that the 2 stages that I'm going to filter on are open stages. So the preview, you can, at the moment the preview is switched off, but you can toggle it to say, you know, when I make these changes, I want you to just do a little preview of what sort of data I'm going to get back from these filters. So you can see here, These are all my open opportunities, or some of my open opportunities in a preview. Do not rely on the data being right when you're in preview mode. Rule number one. Then I can choose the columns I want. So if I'm looking at this thinking, oh, I don't really care about expected revenue, I don't really care about the fiscal period, I don't care when it was created, don't really care about next step, sorry. I can remove those from my report. Bear with me a second. Yeah. Then I can actually change the type of report I want. So in Excel, those of you familiar with Excel, you might, yes, they do, Betsy. Custom fields do show as filters if you want to add them. So remember we were talking about stage. If I click in here, I can go and get the stage field. And then I get the same kind of thing. So I can say, right, stage equals value proposition and perception analysis. And actually, this will take care of your criteria for you. So that if I apply that, that should actually just bring back the opportunities that have those either one of those two stages. So it works slightly differently in reports. Okay, so there's my 4 opportunities. I'm going to get rid of owner role because I never use that at the moment. And then when I'm done, I just save and run it. And where you save the report is what determines whether it's a private report or not, because everybody gets their own little area where they can save reports. But if you have permission to do so, if you're allowed to create public reports, you can actually create your own folders and share them with other users and have it so that they can't change the framework of your report, but they're still able to run it. And that's really powerful, because what you don't want is a report that says Gemma's opportunities or Betsy's opportunities. What you might want is show me my opportunities and have that as one single report rather than Gemma's report and Betsy's report. And that's one of the best practices that we try and encourage people to do. I'm just going to create a folder called Sales Reports. And I'm going to select this folder and I'm going to save it. And it's going to run because I told it to. Boom. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let me just check, have I covered all of that? Oh, yeah. Well, when that loads, so you can see this is a simple list report that has 4 records in it. Now, if I want to add a chart to this report, there's something I've got to do first. I've got to group it. And when I group it, that's when I'm creating the Salesforce equivalent of a pivot table. Remember in Excel, you have to highlight all the data and then go to insert and then pivot table and then tell it what rows and columns you want, and you have to move things around. Well, it's kind of similar, but a lot less faffing about. So let's say I want to group my opportunities by stage because I want to create a funnel diagram that goes with it. All I have to do, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can expand out and see a list of all the fields and just drop in what you want. So let's do stage and drop it into the group, which didn't work. But I did drop it into the report. This is really helpful if you want to just see what's there and how it's related. And just another quick tip for you. When you're looking at the fields that you can pull into a report, sometimes you'll see fields that are on other objects that are related to the object you're reporting on. For example, opportunity owner. Opportunity owner is a field on an opportunity, but it looks up to a user record. So if you want to, you can pull through what department that opportunity owner belongs to. And that's a really good one as well. If you don't use roles to report, or you've got if you've got a role hierarchy that's centered around security rather than reporting lines, then you can use this is a great use case for that kind of thing. Reporting gets better all the time in Salesforce, I have to say. Every release, we've got more cool stuff to play with. And I'm a bit of a data nerd. So in this report, I'm going to group by stage. So I'm just going to hit stage under the grouping section. And I'm just going to click that. Now look what happens to my report. Suddenly my report has become a pivot table. Woohoo! And let's say I want to get even smarter here. And I don't necessarily, and I want to see roughly when my opportunity is going to close. I'm going to use a different example here. I'm going to take away my filter on the stage date, and I'm going to turn this into a matrix report. Right, so here now I'm pulling out all my opportunities grouped by stage. If I want to, I can get really cute here and have a matrix report that's based on stage and close date. And I do that by grouping the column by close date. And actually, the funny story, a couple of years ago, I was coaching somebody. Yes, Betsy, you do. So Betsy asks, to add a field that's based on a formula, do I have to create a custom field first? Yes, you do. Sometimes if you're using a custom report type as well, you have to drag that field into the report type, but that's going to happen to you later on when you start playing with it. Funny story, I had somebody create a report of orders a few years ago, and they grouped everything by price. So what you saw was like £1.99, 47p, 59p going down the left, and then like just ones. It was just full of ones all the way through. It was the cutest thing. But for this one, you can see at the moment I've got a grouping by stage, and then I can see how many opportunities are closing on the 5th of March and then how many are closing on the 31st of March. Now, if I'm not particularly interested in the day that they're closing, I can actually group these dates by month. And here's a neat trick. You just go to the close date here, group date by calendar month. Notice you get other options there as well. So those two columns will get condensed together now. All those 14 opportunities, you can see 13 of them are closing in March 2018 and one is closing in March 2020. It's not quite as impressive as I was hoping it was going to be, but you know. But it also means that now I'm in a good position, now that I've got groupings here, I'm in a really good position to build a graph to go with my report. What am I doing for time? Okay. Come on, there we go. So when you view your report, you've got your groupings across the top, you've got your lists along the bottom. So if you need to drill down and go into look at these individual records, you can certainly do that. But you can also add a chart. And there's a little button in the top right-hand corner that says Add Chart. Oh, look, I've now got a bar chart. I don't think I like my bar chart. I think I am going to change it a bit, and I'm going to turn it into a column. I do like columns better. But also I can, so now that will just change direction, right? So now I can see in my prospecting stage, I've got one in March 2018, one in March 2020. Seems a bit off, actually. I'd rather have the date across the bottom and the close date and the stage as the grouping. So all I have to do here is change the x-axis, and now I've got it grouped by stage. So in March 2018, here's my pipeline. In March 2020, there's my pipeline. Maybe I don't really want to keep scrolling to the right to look at that. So I'm just going to hit stacked column instead. Oh, look, March 2018. Here are all my opportunities at each stage. And let's say I don't really care about the record count. I want to actually see the amount. I can summarize my amount fields and then pull them in as the actual, the numbers themselves. I can change where my legend sits. I can have it on the right. I can have it on the bottom. I could have a donut chart if I want to. I like donut charts because they're better than pies, because pies don't show the total, whereas these do. And then with donut charts, you can actually tell it not to show values if you want. You can tell it to show percentages and say, you know, out of my 14 opportunities, 92% of them are going to close in March 2018 because I'm going to go back in time and make them close. So you've got a lot of flexibility there. Now, obviously, if I navigate away, it's going to forget about my chart. So I'm going to edit it. And I am going to tell it to summarize the amount. And then I'm going to create my chart and save it, because then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's on a dashboard. And I know you're going to love it. Yeah, it's one thing to do with time travel. Oh, okay. Oh, it did remember my chart. That's a pleasant surprise. There we go. Stacked column. Gemma. Sometimes it can take a moment if you're using WebEx and Zoom and so on, just to update. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to save and run it. Just check I'm on track. Okay, now let's look at some killer visualizations with dashboards. Remember, this is based on data that meets the criteria of the system right now. So if I go and add another opportunity, you'll notice my results change. And actually, I'm going to do that just for kicks. Because if you like that, you're going to love this. So we have, let's go and create another opportunity. The great thing we have in Salesforce is this button that's called clone, which is basically copy and paste. It's one of my favorite things. So I'm going to create a brand new opportunity, which is called widgets. And I'm going to make it £1 million. And that is going to close in April the 3rd. I have my dates the right way around, just letting you know. And it's in perception analysis. Why not? I'm going to fill in some fields. You can even run a report based on, you can add report filters based on delivery and installation status and tracking number, anything you want really. Okay, so now I should have a much bigger pipeline than I did before. And that will be picked up immediately in the list view that I created earlier. What was it? My opportunities. So in my, I think it was perception analysis. Oh, look, I've got 1.1 million in there now. I'm getting promoted. And now, so remember what I put in there for March. There's nothing in there for April, is there? Not even if I scroll, there's just nothing there. What happens if I refresh it? Ta-da! Real-time reporting. Now you know why I fell in love with Salesforce. I was proper nerdy about this. Loved it. So what else can we do with this? You can create reports until the cows come home. However, what happens when you go, what happens if someone wants to see all of these reports all together in one place, and they don't really want to have to keep clicking around and opening up one report and sharing it with someone else? You can use dashboards. Let's create a really fancy little dashboard to show you what we can do with this. Now, before I do that, really quickly, I'm going to go back to my report and just summarize it by amount, because I want to show you how you can use the same report to add multiple components to your dashboard. This is a really good way of keeping things nice and clean and tidy in Salesforce for you. And we often ask sales reps to be trained on reports, not necessarily dashboards. We tend to create dashboards for them and then just kind of distribute them and give them the option to filter and show my opportunities, etc., etc. And then you just have one dashboard and that lets them go and run it. But we do encourage them to create reports because it helps them to understand how the data is sort of segmented and represented. So remember I said at the moment, if I run this, I just see a record count. What if I want to see the amount and the value? Well, I've already got my groupings here. I've got my stage on the left and my dates across the top. I just go, if I want to group by amount, I just come down to my my table here and I click this little drop down and then I hit summarize. Now I can choose an average amount, I can choose a minimum amount or a maximum amount from the list, but I'm just going to add them all together. This is how you aggregate. Now you'll see that top left-hand corner, it will change the report because it will say, okay, this is the value, the summarized value of opportunities in prospecting stage, and this is how many opportunities are represented by that value. And if you don't want to show the record count, you can just tell it not to show the record count. You can scroll down and you've got these little toggles here, these switches. You can hide all of those if you want. But importantly, you also get a lot of flexibility with your report. So I'm going to leave my, with your chart. So I'm going to leave my chart alone with some record counts in it. And I'm going to go back to create my new dashboard. So I'm just going to call this Gemma's pipeline dashboard. Again, you can create your own folders and you can make certain reports and dashboards hidden away. Something else that you can do that not many people know about is you can actually make it so that people have to use their phone to authorize access to certain dashboards. You can even make it so that they have to plug a key into their laptop in order to access certain dashboards, which is pretty clever stuff. I like that. But for now, I'm just going to create my folder called Gemma's dashboards. And select my folder. Now this has also come along a huge way. Like dashboards used to be really boring by comparison. They're amazing. So remember that report I created called My Opportunities? Well, I've got all of these lines here which acts as my canvas, if you like. I can draw my own charts and components on here. So I'm going to hit Add Component, and there's my report. You have to have the reports before you can put them onto the dashboard. Don't forget that. So if I select that, then I can either choose to use the chart settings from the report itself, or I can get really cute with it. I can say, right, just show me the amounts by stage, right? So I could do that. And look, I've got this really nice little chart and I can pull it across here. Or I can make it small. I can change, it's very dynamic and I can change the way that it appears. Good practice for dashboards. Please make sure you add a title and and tell people what they're looking at. That's really important as well, because you could build this big dashboard and they look at it and go, well, that looks nice. I bet you had fun building that, but what's it actually going to tell me? What decisions am I going to make based on the data that you've given me in this beautiful dashboard? So in the footer, I'll put this shows the, oh yeah, I've been doing that already, shows the value of opportunities at each stage. Okay, subtitle might be open opportunities, and you get a preview on the right hand side that shows you like what you want to show. If you want to put a custom link in that maybe takes them out to Tableau, or you could create a link that PDFs it, then you've got that option. You can even change whether it sorts the stage ascending or descending. And you can even choose what kind of number you want to see. So at the moment it defaults to showing data by thousands, but let's say I wanted to see trillions. This is just 0. Or I could do it in hundreds. You know, and then you can change the way you can change the graph as well. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there. Oh, hello. I then want to use the same report, but this time show the number of opportunities. And I'm going to do this with a donut graph. And I'm going to change the, I'm going to change the value. So you notice here, because I then grouped by amount, I've got a choice between amount and record count. So I get a record count of the number of opportunities that are at each stage. And then I can show the percentage as well. And show the total. Oh, look, I can put that one here too. That's really nice, isn't it? Yes, Gemma, it is. What if I then want to show opportunities by I want to show my actual sales funnel? I can do that. This will make my sales manager very happy. He or she can look at this and see what's coming into the funnel and how much are we closing. So that tells me that we need to get more leads in, because we're getting into the later stages, but we need more at the top of the funnel. So it helps you to make strategic decisions. Now, what does that look like once I've finished building it? Let's have a look. Boom, there we go. Now, the difference between reports and dashboards is dashboards show data as it was at a point in time. Reports, again, show data as it is at the time when you run the report. But with dashboards, the other thing you can do is you can actually schedule them to be sent out. So you can subscribe to the dashboard And you can choose to have this dashboard emailed to you once a week or emailed to other Salesforce users once a week, which is quite cool. So let's have a look at the quiz. And I think we've managed to complete one Trailhead module. Okay, you all ready for this? I bet you all can't wait to get stuck into reports and dashboards, right? So, quiz, question 1, visualize your data quickly right from a list view by adding A, a report, B, a dashboard, C, a list view chart, or D, a screenshot. And if you put D, I will find you. Visualize your data quickly right from a list view by adding a report, a dashboard, a list view chart, or a screenshot. Okay, lock your answers in, people. Question 2, dashboards are visual representations of your reports and can A, include multiple reports on a single dashboard, B, showcase summarized data, C, be used to run sales meetings, D, help with communicating to executives, or E, all of the above. Okay, if you're confident in your answers, hit the button and it should rain confetti for days. There you go. So once you've passed this, please feel free to share your achievement on Twitter and I'll retweet it if I can find you. Shiny new badge. Congratulations. Okay. So we've come to a logical stop at the moment. So what I want to do before we go into the homework assignment for this week, I want to open it up for questions. And if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself. And if you want me to show you anything again, I'm happy to do that. Of course you can. Yep, Jimson's asked, can we get a trail to practice this hands-on? Yes. Okay, let's take a look at the homework then, and then you can all head off to bed or whatever you're doing next. Where's everybody from, by the way? Wow. Wow, we got Toronto, Ireland, Virginia, New York, France, Australia, Barcelona, Nairobi, Berlin, India, Kenya, Texas, Pakistan. My goodness. Well, it's very late for you guys in Pakistan. You stayed up? Wow. California, Washington, Kentucky. This is incredible. It means a lot to me that you've just turned up to learn. This is great. Well, thank you very much for joining. Swindon, yes. Home of the magic roundabout. Okay, let's have a look at the homework then. Now, I did pick out some homework and I'm going to post it up online. Why do I have this? Okay. Let me get the homework. Lightning experience sales. Okay. So what I wanted to get you guys doing was a project, actually, which is very much hands-on, which I'm sure you will all really love. I think I might have to also give you a reporting one because so many of you enjoyed that one. Enjoyed learning about reports. So I will have to throw in a second assignment. So you've got a project to complete, which is about you have to connect your Trailhead playground, and they're going to get you to use the home page to set sales goals. You're going to be creating a lead. You're going to be converting your lead into an opportunity. The next step, you're going to be setting your goal, hunting your prospect. So you're going to be playing around a lot with opportunities, and also you're going to be close winning an opportunity. This is quite a short one to do, but if you could please complete this one first, I'll send you a reporting one as well, so that you can play with that as well for this week. So yeah, and if you have any feedback or questions at all, you know, I can't make this better without your feedback. So thank you, everybody. Keep an eye on the site, please. So hopefully you've all got the link to the site. I can try and make this shorter if you want, but when you get to the site, you'll be on the home page. Please go to homework and recordings. So, which is up here in the top right hand corner, and scroll down to week 2, and you'll see the recording of tonight's session. And you will also see your homework there as well. Okay, so good luck. If you've got any questions, just for the benefit of people who are new, please come to the questions and answers. Dab?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for the great session. I just wanted to ask you, like, I was completed with the week 1 homework, and I just wanted to know that if I could, you know, explore other badges, or is it better if I go with you, because I can see the insight that you are providing is so much more valuable that, you know, what I will do with the badges. So what do you recommend? That should I go ahead with the badges, or should I like get into your pace and you know, take it slow? Because this quarantine is giving me so much time, I don't know what to do with it.
No, I know what you mean. I would actually say go with your gut. If you want to carry on doing badges, do badges. Honestly, you have my complete support on that. What I would say is, if you're navigating around Trailhead and you're ahead, when you go to Trailhead and you're looking for badges to do, go to the Learn section and hit Trails, and then you can actually apply filters here, and you can select the level, whether you want to go beginner, intermediate, or advanced. I would suggest you go for beginner admin. So you'll notice if you hit your role is admin and your level is beginner, you'll find all kinds of badges in there that you can go ahead and do. There is another thing you can do, and that is to find trail mixes. Some of my friends have put trail mixes together that are designed for beginners as well, that you can work your way through if you want to. Just be aware that sometimes on the lessons you may have completed them already, but you can still do many of the projects again multiple times. So yeah, by all means, have a look. This is an introduction. It's by no means restrictive at all.
All right, so I'm sorry, but one more question. So would you recommend trail mixes, or would you recommend career paths? Because there are career paths as well in the Learn section. I have been doing the business analyst one.
Have you? Okay, yeah. That's completely up to you. Whatever you think will work best for you.
Okay, so what would you recommend?
As I say, there is so much that you can do with Trailhead and with Salesforce that really it's designed to help. It gives you lots, and the same with Salesforce as well. There's loads of different ways to create solutions on Salesforce as well. You have a lot of flexibility, so there is no right answer. There's no you should do this, you should do that. It's a case of finding something that is right for you. And if you prefer to do if you want to do the business analyst one, go ahead and do it. Honestly, the Salesforce administrator will give you will give you a technical foundation, and business analyst will help you to look at and analyze a problem and then solve it. So I haven't actually seen this. This is quite new by the looks of things. So yeah, and then they've got a trail mix for you here. So you could, if you wanted to, you could start working your way through that. Yeah, this is very new. I've not seen this. So I suppose in short, if you wanted to get hands-on with the platform itself, I would go down the route of the administrator one to start with. And you can get there through the career paths, or you can get there through trail mixes and just searching for administrator. That's something you want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, look, actually. Administration. I tend to prefer the filters. But again, it just depends on what you're looking for. So if you're in, I would go for admin and hit beginner as your filters, and then you can kind of work your way through some of these. I would say if you've got badges that talk about Salesforce Classic, it's best not to touch those at the moment, just because Classic is the old interface. There are still some customers that are using Classic, but we tend to discourage it. We want people to move on to the Lightning platform because there's a lot more you can do with it. So does that help?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. But this is what I think. I will look at your trail mix, and I won't touch those badges because you're giving an incredible insight, and I just love it. So I won't touch those badges, but I will explore other Trailhead because it's so huge. It's a huge platform. Mm-hmm. So I would explore other parts. And I wouldn't just touch your trail mix.
Yeah, my plan is to teach you guys Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and a little bit of communities. And then at that point, we can start. I want to get some guest speakers on to talk about. I mean, we've got loads of volunteers, but I want to get some guest speakers on to talk about like some of the other pathways that you can take and some of the other elements that you can specialize in. If you want to go down the coding route, then I've got contacts who can start. Who are prepared to help teach you coding. And there are loads of different things that you can do. As you say, it is vast. There are like 900 badges or something now. So